Welcome everyone to Old Druid or Baku Druid. Did a fun deck to mess around with these last weeks before the expansion. And you might ask yourself, well, how come that there's only now in the end a Baku Druid and so many people have tried already, why would this one work? And there's a very simple answer to that. The reason why is because I tried something different that others haven't yet. Let's just go straight into the deck list. What I did is I made an odd tempo or aggro druid. So in all druid archetypes so far are aggro, control or combo based. And back in the day there used to be an aggro druid, so this is inspired by that. Obviously, back in the day, let's see, wait, let me put this one to wilds, because druid used to have some cards that helped out during, well, like this one. This is a card that's not longer around, which was great in the aggro druid because 1 mana 2/2 is like the best tempo card you can have. And there were so many other cards that helped, like Jade Idols and other stuff. Especially Mark of the Lotus. This is just 1 mana and then an insane buff. And for now, this is a 2 mana card. And it's only played in token druid. So the only like real aggro type is token, but that's still more of a combo deck. While this is really about getting tempo established on board and just overwhelming your opponent. So first I'll talk a little bit about the cards and the game plan and how you play it, and then I'll show you a game of what this deck looks like in action. So the druid class doesn't really have any good 1-drops so far to help out, so I just took some basic ones. Also, this deck is fairly cheap. It only runs Baku, which you probably already have, so most cards in this deck you will also already have because of most aggro decks and just general cards that are pretty good. So Archer's Veteran, which is just 2/1, but it gives 1 attack, and actually like it's a 3/1 then instead. And one of the attack has often charge. So overall, I shouldn't explain every single card, but you know this one is good in aggro deck, so is this one, because of the 3 health. Firefly is just all around good. I also put in Glacial, that wasn't in the first version, but because I play Vicious Fledgling, this combo is really well because you can freeze like a minion with possible threat, or the face which could trade with your Vicious Fledgling, so you can get this one off pretty cleanly. But that's not the only reason why it just in general helps with stopping your enemy from trading, so you can make value trades. The Spellstone is just overall a good, like one of the only removal cards in your deck. I also was tempted to put in Naturalize, but because it's also 1 mana, just kill a minion of your opponent. But the problem is your opponent draws 2 cards, so draws more cards to answer your minions and to destroy them. So I'm not really a huge fan of Naturalize because it can backfire pretty hard. While Spellstone is like, because your hero power you get 2 damage and 2 armor. So you just hero power twice and this is upgraded, and usually you will use this as a 4 damage spell, which is great in itself. 1 mana deal 4 with a lot of value. Sometimes you can get up to 6, but that's only when it's sitting around in hand. Sometimes you have to use this 1 mana deal 2. That sucks, but if it gets you to the victory, then that's good enough. So overall, Spellstone is a great addition in this deck. A great quick removal spell for 1 mana. Very fast. Now, this is the only card I'm not really sure about, and I tried switching it out for other things, because it doesn't really look good. It's never played because it's just a 3 mana 4/2 or 2/4. Stat-wise, it's not so exciting. But the 4/2 rush and 2/4 taunt, it's just the flexibility that gives it so much value. Against other aggro decks, you might go with the taunt, and you can stop, for example, one of the Henchman tugs they play, or which is Fledgling, or whatever. Or maybe it's like an Old Paladin, and you can stop some Silver Hand Recruits. Or you just want to go face, you buff your minions, and he puts a Dark Creeper in the way. Now you can just play this, and almost instantly trade away the Dark Creeper. So all in all, it doesn't look great, but for some reason it performs really well. And I've never really, like, it sucks if you don't want to play this on turn 3, because then it's just a 4-2 or a 2-4 when your enemy has nothing. So there are better turn 3 plays like Vicious Fledgling, maybe Henge Clan, Dark Reaper perhaps. But this is definitely a good proactive card, or like reactive card, I mean. Henge Clan is also pretty strange, because it usually fits in Rogue, which has a, because he has a weapon and he can on turn 3 attack and instantly buff this minion. And even though you can't buff this on turn 3, it's still a big threat. If you play this on turn 3, your opponent has to remove it or it will start growing. And usually they burn quite a lot of removal on this one, so your other minions and buffs are safe from removal. And yeah, people are just scared of this card. So I put it in. It performs also pretty well. That's why I haven't taken it out. Yeah, you prefer to play it on turn 5 or later, so you can instantly buff it. But it's also fine turn 3 play. Mark of Nature is a card I didn't even know existed. So I didn't have this one in the deck in the first place. Like, I didn't have the card. But I was going through what cards I could put in when I was just searching at cards I didn't have. And this one definitely looked interesting, so I crafted 2, gave it a try. And believe it or not, it's actually a really good card in this deck. Even though you can see it as a 3 mana Cold Blood, so Rogue has this for 1 mana. The 3 mana Cold Blood doesn't look that good or exciting, but it's the only thing that Druid has to give a minion instantly +4 attack, which is a huge tempo swing. Just imagine playing Dire Maul and then coining Mark of Nature, and on turn 2 you have a 5-3 on the board. It doesn't have the combo, so that's one upside on this card, but it's also again the flexibility. Just a +4 health and taunt can give you so much value as well. Because this is an aggro deck, or trying to be, but your game plan can switch, and then you can turn into a mid-range deck. You could go for taunts here, this one could go turn into a taunt, and there are more choose too, like for example Druid of the Claw, Ancient of War, but I'll get to those later. But this deck is so the deck is aggro based, you're trying to kill them as soon as possible, but your game plan can switch into a mid-range or like defensive game plan. Savage Roar is like, I used to have 2 copies of these, but sometimes I just drew these and I had 2 copies of Savage Roar in my hands and they were just dead cards. I couldn't play them because I didn't have a wide enough board. And then I realized that this aggro deck is not really about going too wide, because that's Token Druid. You don't really have any things to benefit of a wide board. You don't have buffs like these, Power of the Wild, or the 4 mana Branching Pass. So it's usually single buffs that I play. Also Fungamancer, which is like half single, half for a wide board. But you're going somewhat in between tall and wide with this aggro deck, somewhat like Baku Rogue. With just big minions like Henge Clan take that buff. So overall, this is a nice finisher. Can be a pretty value card. Sometimes it's 3 mana, deal 8 more, so deal 8 damage, because your hero also gets a +2. But it's just really satisfying to finish with this. Out of nowhere you get lethal. But 2 copies is a little bit too much, because like I said, you can't always use this card. Well, Mark of Nature is a card you can almost always use with any minion on the board. Dark Reaper, just a good defensive card. It's one of the few just strong taunts in this deck that can stop any other aggressive deck. This one wins games on its own. I don't think this needs any more explanation. But playing this on turn 3 or even coin turn 2 is just so strong. Cobalt Scalebane, 1 copy, because it's just generally a good card, but I didn't feel like it needed to. Because I don't want too many expensive minions in this deck, more like 1 and 3 drops. Druid of the Claw is a 5 mana 4/4 charge, which isn't actually too bad. Like, people put Leroy in their deck just because it's a good charge, and there are very few charge minions in the game. So I definitely think this is a great card in this deck. Nice finisher, they don't expect it. And also just the flexibility, being able to turn it into 4/6 with taunt if you don't really need charge right away is really, really good. Because if you look at charge, there are only these weak ones, and then this one is sometimes run. I've seen this one and it's constructed. I don't know why, but maybe because of the extra attack. And then yeah, there's Leroy, which is one I don't have. But I don't think Leroy would fit in his deck with 2 of these copies. Like he has one more, or two more attack, right? But you can easily buff this one up. It still has 4 health, so 2 more, and it doesn't spawn anything for your enemy, so you don't really need to use this as a finisher. You can even use it to just go face turn 5. Yeah, overall, don't sleep on these choose 1 cards, because the flexibility in this deck is one of the upsides. You can adapt to any situation, any matchup. Your game plan switches constantly. This is a fun deck. A little bit hard to play because you need to do a lot of decision making, which can decide the game for you. But that's the fun part, I think, the trickiness. Fungal Monster, just good buff card, good in aggro decks. It's like 5 mana 6/6, but 4 of the attack and health gets charged. Nourish, you always want to use this for draw. There's no reason to go for mana crystals in any matchup, basically. I put in 2 copies because it's the only draw in the deck. It's just great to, when you're at like turn 8 or 9 and your hand is empty, to just refill with 3 cards. Even though it's a slow card, it's one of the very few slow cards, like most cards are tempo based, which is the reason why I didn't put in a lot of cards that you might otherwise want to see in the Druid deck. Like Crypt Lord. Crypt Lord is one that I put in at first, and it's an obvious choice, right? It's 3 mana 1/6 that buffs whenever you play a minion. This is very minion based with all these 1-drops. But it has 1 attack. There's nothing you can do with this. This is just an annoying taunt for the enemy, but you're not going to kill them with the Crypt Lord. So it's better to put in Henchclan, and that's what I did. So this was in first, I put in Henchclan, which is way better. So last one is Ancient of War. Now, you might be thinking, you've never seen this card being played, and there's probably a reason for that. Yes, there's a reason for that, and that's because no deck currently needs this. Taunt Druid doesn't need this one because it doesn't resound with the taunts. Then any other deck doesn't really need this one. This one shouldn't even need this one either, but I feel like if you just look at it for a second, it's a 7 mana for a 5/10 taunt in most cases. A 5/10 taunt, if you look at Sleepy Dragon. Sleepy Dragon is a 9 mana, so it costs 2 more. For 12 taunt, so it has 2 more HP and 1 less attack, but it costs 2 more. Yeah, it's a dragon, so it has some synergy with some decks, but this has way more value. Well, it has 2 less HP, and on a taunt you usually want more HP and 1 more attack, which is just good and strong. But it costs 2 less, so this is a very strong turn 7 play, which can shut down most aggro decks unless they have a single removal in the hand. And in the best case scenario, you control the board, or they just did a full wipe. They wasted a lot of expensive resources, their hand is low, and you can try to go for a 10/5. 7 mana, 10 attack, and still 5 HP, so it doesn't die to most spells. Like, you need to upgrade this one 3 times, or most single damage spells don't do it. So I feel like this card is actually really underrated. Yeah, that's a deck. I talked way too long, like almost 14 minutes. Let's just jump straight into the game and show you how this deck performs and why I think it's so good. I found matchups against a lot of decks, against Even Luck, against Baku Rogue, against most, like even odd Paladin. Of course there are harder matchups and easier matchups, but just so you know, this deck can beat almost any matchup if you play it really good, if they don't have a really strong opener. Like for example, if you go against Spellhunter and he just has double Spellstone and 2 secrets, then you're pretty screwed. But if you draw relatively good, you make good decisions, and you switch your game plan accordingly to the matchup, then every game should be doable. And really, this deck is so much fun, and definitely not bad on ladder. So let me show you what a game looks like with Baku Druid. I hope we face a Baku Rogue, because that's the most interesting matchup. They also have a Baku deck. Oh, please the Baku Rogue.
Versus Maiev.
Because it's also like,
None can
wait, maybe it
escape
sounds a
my
little bit
fury.
too
The
loud, I don't
forest
know.
fights back.
I hope it's fine. So it's either a Miracle or a Baku. Or maybe it's a Tess, but I don't expect a Tess. So I'm definitely keeping Spellstone against the Baku, because then I can just get the Henchclan tug at turn 3. This is a great opener. These two are just slow, too slow. So I think I just keep this against any of the two matchups. Ah, that's just great.
None
Okay,
will
it's the Baku.
survive.
This is a really fun matchup. Also, the reason why this hero power is so strong in an aggro deck instead of a control deck, which everyone has tried, is because people saw it as a control ping, so you can just ping things away the board. But it's also just a huge sample swing to be able to value trade a minion. Okay, so definitely is going for Henchclan tug next round, because he's not attacking with a weapon. So I think I have to hero power.
This will be good.
So I upgrade my spellstones, but if I hero power next turn, I upgrade my spellstones, and then I can play double Firefly or something with single Firefly. Okay, let's see.
Who comes there?
The prediction. Really, don't underestimate the hero power at all. It's just so damn strong. I'm going for Spellstone. And my next turn play is probably going to be a 3-drop and a 1-drop, so I could even coin out a 1-drop now for more tempo. I think I'm going to do that.
Speak your peace.
Amazing. This will be good.
Okay, so we're ahead of Mord. We're ahead on life total. He still has a weapon, and we have about the same card, so far so good. Okay, that's just great. Wow. Yeah, I guess to play that into next turn I could go for a 5-drop, or maybe I draw a 3-drop and I can hero power, that'd be great. Cold Blood? I mean Deadly Poison, yeah, and then just trade, obviously. Now we can go for 5-drop, that's fine. Oh, I'm also scared that he will Cold Blood this, so I think I'm going to play this, hero power, and trade. So he can't play another 1-drop and Fungal, or Cold Blood the Diamond. Yeah, sure.
This will be good.
He's now also forced to turn his weapon into my Henchclan and taking 4 damage face. So let's see, he probably trades with that.
Ha, this guy's toast.
Okay. So now I'm tempted to go for a Firefly and a Cobalt. So that way it buffs the Firefly, and he will probably trade with weapon and as Ice Agent this Cobalt, or he uses File Spine or any other removal. But then
What
still
if?
this one is up and he has to trade with Diamond and something else, or let's see what his answer is to this.
Not welcome here. Mushroom
Okay,
power!
the mushroom power, that sucks. almost have lethal though. If I could draw
The light protects
3
me.
mana buff. Oh wow. So I have 8 damage bursts. If I hear power phase, I set up lethal next turn. Could he have lethal? Could he kill me? He has 3, 6, 7, 8. He still has not a deadly poison. So 8. So. And a
What
Leroy.
if-
There's no way he deals 26. No way. He only has 1 card in the hand. So. I'm just hero powering phase and playing these 2, and the next turn he's dead. Unless he
your
plays
peace.
Taunt.
This'll be good.
But I don't expect him to play a Taunt. Like, why? I don't think Baku Druid runs any Taunts. So we should be fine. Let's see. He has to trade this. Yeah, he goes all in.
This guy's toast.
We win! Nice. That goes to show how strong this deck is compared to some tier 1 meta decks. And it's just like this
Where
guy
shall I
especially,
strike?
don't underestimate the charge and this buff. And that's how Baku
Well
Baku broke.
played.